Welcome to the Proshot podcast. I'm Alex Fordedal. Alongside me is Tomas Zubrus, and today we are continuing our OHL draft series where Thomas and I are talking with some of the top prospects for the upcoming 2021 OHL Priority selection. Today we are excited to be chatting with former Toronto Junior Canadian and former Bishop Kearney player, I guess, in this case, forward Luke McNamara. Luke, thank you so much for coming on, buddy. How you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. And I got to ask you, of course, because before we were recording, we are just briefly talking about it. You are currently in the United States, so I got to ask you, for those who may not know, what are you doing? What's your whole story in the United States? Why are you there?
Yeah, so obviously no hockey happening in Ontario, and thought it was the right decision to come to the States this year. Kind of spoke to my family and my advisor, and thought it was the best decision to come this year, and kind of sat together and figured out if it's the right opportunity, and had a couple Zoom calls with BK and the whole staff, bunch of great mentors, and just hearing what they had to say about the program was definitely pretty cool. So we spoke to Chris Collins, Regan O'Grady, former OHL player. He played 5 years there, and and then one of the directors of the school. We kind of just talked about it and thought it was the best fit overall, and just thought playing games in this type of year is so important when no one kind of played all year. So I've been lucky to have that kind of advantage. So I made the move, and it was an easy adjustment. Just obviously, definitely fortunate that it worked out, and definitely a sacrifice as well to move away from home at such a young age at 15 years old, but definitely for a reason, and thought it was an easy adjustment, and played a couple exhibition games before I actually started my season with them and against the 16 team. And I played really well. I think my first game, I had a couple goals and an assist, and I kind of the team was very welcoming, and I was just trying to be a leader and a good teammate every game. So it was definitely a pretty cool adjustment, and happy I made the move.
All right, Luke. My first question for you, of course, since you played in the Junior Canadian setup for a couple of years before this, who would you say is the toughest opponent to play against while you were in the GTHL?
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I'm a forward. There's a lot of great forwards in the GTHL. I typically I know the forwards are on the ice, but typically I try to look at what the D are doing. Mm-hmm. Probably I would say one of the top defensemen in the age group, really hard to get around, is Cameron Allen. Big, strong guy. He's physical. He's got a good stick, and I challenge myself to get around him and, make a move around him and try to get to the net for a goal. So probably him as a defenseman as I really try to look at and get by him.
But when it comes to your game, Luke, would you say you're a 200-foot player? Are you a two-way player? Tell me a bit about your game in your own words.
I think definitely have great size, now being 6'3", almost 170 pounds, last year being, 5'10", 145. So I really had a big summer. I worked with a bunch of NHL players, Owen Power, for example, projected #1 pick coming up. I've had the privilege to kind of look up to him as a player, and took a lot of things and copying his reps. So I guess this summer really helped me and challenged me to get to the next step for my game. And definitely, if I had to kind of consider myself as a player, I would probably say I got great size, great reach. I try to use my skating to my advantage. I think I have a really lethal shot. I think I try to kind of use that as my bread and butter, and I try to be a good leader on and off the ice, look for my teammates, and overall just play a complete game. So try to play as well in all three zones. I think that's important too. So.
All right, next up, Luca. You mentioned that you worked with NHL players heading into the season. Is there actually one of those players, or just any NHL player at all, who you try to model your game after?
Yeah, typically for me, I watch a lot of hockey on my TV, with my parents. I love watching the game. I love watching the Leafs, obviously from Toronto. So typically for me, I try to take different aspects and great things other players do in the league. If I had to pick a couple players, first off, I would start off with Matthew Barzal on the Islanders. Just the way he turns back, looks for his teammates, just his deception, the way he's so deceptive, just gets by guys. I really love the way he plays, and I try to take a lot of things that he does into my game. And then probably the shooting aspect. I try to take a lot of things from Austin Matthews, just the way he pulls the puck and shoots it. I try to use that shot a lot and use it to my advantage. And I think I've worked really hard on my shot, especially working with Dan Ninkovich in Oakville, where I train with the NHL players. He's been working with me for 3 years and just working on just all aspects off the ice, 1 foot shooting, just everything. I really took a lot that he's taught me and added to my game. And then probably the third guy I would try to take is probably like a Bergeron, just a complete center, plays a 200-foot game, really dynamic, great offensive player. And one big thing that I really take out of his game is his faceoffs. Like his faceoffs are amazing, and just the way he wins majority of his draws it's pretty cool. So I try to take things out of his game as well.
Those are 3 absolutely incredible players to definitely, pick parts of your game to model after for sure. And those 3 players all have their own unique attributes, right? Like you said, Barzal has that speed and skill. Matthews has the shot. Bergeron is incredible when it comes to taking faceoffs. What would you say is your best attribute on the ice?
Yeah, I think my best attribute on the ice is probably my skating and my shot. I think I try to use that to my advantage. Being a big guy, long reach, long stride.
All right, next up, Luca, you are obviously already in the U.S. and I would assume that you're, I guess, more okay with the feeling of moving away from your family and everything. But how do you feel knowing that you might have to do that once again, depending on where you're drafted?
I think just, learning how to do your own things. I think it's so important at the next level. Learning how to cope on your own, learning how to do your own laundries is so important to play at the next level. And, you're going to be living with a billet family wherever you play. And, I'll definitely be pretty fortunate to be drafted. But overall, I think just being here at BK, living with the boys up in the dorms, it's been really fun. It's been pretty cool. You're always around them. You're learning just how to be an adult, and definitely a pretty easy adjustment. I think I did a good job. So definitely, I think it would be a smooth adjustment into the OHL.
Absolutely. And like we talked about briefly before, with my first question, you made the change to play in the US to get some skating time and some real game experience. I'm curious to ask, was there any talk or any thought, because you made that pretty big transition to play in the States for a bit, was there any talks or any thought from you, your advisor, or your family about maybe staying in the US, going into a type of league like the USHL, for example, or are you full on committed to going back to Canada, playing in the Ontario Hockey League for whatever team you get drafted to?
Yeah, I think just personally for me, I just want to play the game. I want to have fun. I think that's the most important thing, is just every game, just working your best and playing your best. So I typically don't really focus on that, but it is a goal of mine. I think I'm leaning towards the OHL, of course, and that's kind of where my path is headed. I think the USHL is a great league, but I think the OHL is the way I'm aiming to go and pursue my dreams. So definitely the OHL, I think, for sure.
Absolutely, man. And for my final question here, before we wrap things up here, if there's one thing OHL fans should know about you, what would that be?
I think I'm a pretty laid back guy that will work as hard as I can and be a good person every day, and just in the community, to my teammates, everything. And I think, like I talked about my game, I bring a lot to the table. I think I'm a big time player, and I try to use that to my advantage. So that's definitely what I try to take and add to the next level and for fans to see.
Absolutely, man. You know what? Great answer. Luke, thank you so much for coming on today, man. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we can talk to you again once you're an official member of the OHL team.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. Alex and Thomas.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Please be on the lookout for Luke in the 2021 OHL Priority selection when rounds 1 to 3 start on Saturday, June 4th at 7 p.m., I believe. You can find it on the OHL's YouTube channel. For everyone at Proshot, I'm Alex Fordedal with Tomas Zubrus, and of course, on behalf of Luke, we thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and have a